Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
A very good evening to you all and welcome to News Tonight here on UBC TV. The first day of June 2022. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. In our top stories tonight, President Yoweri Museveni urges public officers to emulate UPDF on savings. General Salim Saleh urges against formation of new circles. More refugees flock into Uganda as livestock market drops. And in sports, Uganda Cranes intensify training ahead of Algeria meet. Hello there and welcome once again. We're coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. President Yoweri Museveni has extended his warmest congratulations to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on her birthday and Platinum Jubilee as Queen of England. Mr. Museveni, who was represented by Uganda's Prime Minister Robina Nabanja, views the bilateral relations Uganda enjoys with the United Kingdom as an avenue for development partnership. The event took place at the official residence of the British High Commissioner to Uganda in Nakasero, a suburb of Kampala.
It was extension of a friendly hug to Uganda's Prime Minister from the British High Commissioner to Uganda. And a welcome handshake from the British High Commissioner to His Lordship Alphonse Owiny-Dollo, Uganda's Chief Justice. This was characteristic of what transpired at the residence of the British High Commissioner to Uganda. It was celebrations to mark the birthday of the Queen of England and her Platinum Jubilee on the throne.
I now wish to propose a toast to the good health and prosperity of the Queen and the people of the United Kingdom as we celebrate the official birthday and the Platinum Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. I thank you.
Uganda's Prime Minister Robina Nabanja was the chief guest. Nabanja represented President Yoweri Museveni. She emphasized the need for continuation of bilateral relations that the two countries enjoy.
The UK remains our major development partner. We work to transform our country and the community, and I commend the partnership and collaboration between the two countries.
Such partnership was also recently witnessed in the support accorded to Uganda in the fight against COVID-19, to which government of Uganda is appreciative.
Thank you also for the support you give Uganda and you continue to give, more especially during the time when we are fighting COVID-19, that is in terms of equipment and vaccines. Thank you so much.
On her part, the British High Commissioner to Uganda, Miss Kate Airi, commended Uganda for its continued hospitality.
I'm very proud of what the UK offers Uganda. We are an honest and reliable trading partner and want to see a more prosperous Uganda where there is inclusive economic growth, generating wealth and adding value. We are also Pan-Africanists, which some of you might find surprising, and provide much financial and technical support to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, as well as funding Trademark East Africa as a vehicle to realise the aspirations of the EAC.
She applauded the government of Uganda for the good working relationship even after independence.
Achieving lasting change is the work of many generations, and it's work without end. Countries that are determined to show incremental positive change are those that have retained their stability. Evolution, my friends, is always better than revolution.
The event was graced by government officials, former political leaders, and heads of international organizations and diplomatic missions.
Meanwhile, President Yoweri Museveni has advised leaders to emulate the army on how to live simply and use the little resources for the service of the people. Museveni made the remarks while officiating at a pass-out ceremony of over 2,000 local defense personnel at Olilim Training School in Palam Sub-County, Ngariam County in Katakwi District. Samuel Senono gives us more.
The trainees who are drawn from different regions in the country have concluded their 6-month basic military training in Katakwi district. This showcased to the president the military skills learned throughout the course of the training. Addressing the gathering, President Museveni took the defense personnel through the history of the UPDF, which he said started from a humble beginning and yet continues to serve the people. He appealed to the public officers to learn from the UPDF.
The leaders must root out corruption in the army. The stealing of fuel, stealing of ration, stealing of money must be uprooted completely, so that these young people who come and join, they don't have to face the parasitism of corrupt leaders.
He, however, advised the school management to explore ways of improving the training.
What I forgot to mention to the commanders when we were there at the shooting range is to see how to use part of that mountain to train. Soldiers trained in mountains have a very good advantage.
On his part, Lieutenant General Peter Ereru welcomed the new local defense personnel to the force, which he said is driven by ideology of serving the people, but not to be served. The commandant of the school, Lieutenant Colonel Elia Mugasa, thanked the local population around the school for their cooperation and for being tolerant with the trainees. Samuel Senono, UBC News.
The National Coordinator, Operation Wealth Creation and Senior Presidential Advisor on Security, General Salim Saleh, has advised on strengthening the existing circles in all the sub-county and parishes across Uganda before bringing on board new ones for the success of the parish development model. Take a watch.
is investing about 1 trillion shillings to set up and run the parish development model in the coming financial year 2022-2023. However, he has advised that the money earmarked shouldn't be used to start up new circles, but build on the existing circles, like the Financial Sector Deepening Project Uganda they initiated in the financial years 2006-2007.
735 circles were my circles and Dr. Suruma. But the moment we were asked to step down for others to take over, then Kashiger and RFSP remained alone. And they went on, by 2013, I saw Kusku's balance sheet. It was 216 billion by 2013. Then you abandoned Kusku and you went into VCLS.
General Salim Saleh, who was not happy with how the Emyoga Sacco idea was conceived, appealed to government to focus on supporting existing programs to improve resource utilization.
So last year when you were going into the campaign, when the Emyoga funds, the Emyoga Saccos were being formed, I asked Blue City, we formed Saccos long time ago. Why are you allowing other Saccos to be formed? The MSC, the district gave me their report why Saccos were not accessing money. And part of the problem was the list of documents for loan processing for cooperative societies. There you must have like 20 approvals.
General Saleh says that in the past they have heavily invested in setting up agro-processing facilities, an undertaking that is being underutilized across the country.
Padeti, Tugumuguru, Lira, Morata, Pach, Dokoro, they have got storage capacity of 845,000 tons. But if you go to these stores today, they are empty. In northern Uganda, I think we have got about 115 agro-processing facilities which are operating at 30%.
However, to avoid competition between development actors in government and the private sector, different government agencies are complemented in implementing the shared objective for the benefit of Ugandans.
We got a chance, through your guidance, to seek partnership with Stanbic as an upstream stakeholder to build capacity for the agro-processors in the entire value chain by supporting, through orienting, training, the already formed active cooperatives.
Otto Ventorino from Acholi Private Sector assured General Salim Saleh that they are working alongside officials of the district parish development model to reintegrate existing groups into the parish development models.
We are engaging with the PDM district teams as they prepare to go down, so that we present to them the resources that we have in terms of these mobilized groups, so that we see, even if we don't have the ability to amend the PDM at this stage, we find a middle way where we would work with the PDM in a way that brings out the best of the organized groups in the villages.
General Salim Saleh told officials implementing the parish development model to work towards implementing the financial inclusion pillar, urging them to link it into the agro-processing and post-harvest management.
Ministry of Health, with support from key stakeholders like Uganda Red Cross and Uganda Police Health Services Directorate, have set up medical stations at all sites to attend to different emergencies as Ugandans commemorate Uganda Matters Day at the two respective Anglican and Catholic shrines at Namugongo.
Before accessing the shrine, one is subjected to observe the COVID-19 standard operating procedures like wearing a mask and hand washing. Health teams have been deployed in Namugongo ahead of the Matters Day celebrations to handle emergency cases and critical cases. Over 700 pilgrims have received emergency services at Namugongo Matters Shrine, and the number is expected to increase as the day draws closer.
In this case, we are handling swelling, we are handling stomach pain, we are handling muscle pain, muscle pulls, joint pains, headache, and wounds, because some people walk with their shoes on and then by the time they reach here they are burnt. So these are the kinds of things we are managing.
At the Catholic Shrine, over 10 medical stations with dedicated human resource in categories of physicians, medical officers, nurses, paramedics are present to attend to emergency cases. At the shrine, ambulances are evident and seen moving around every minute.
We have a referral system where those we cannot handle here, they are referred. And that's why you can see we have ambulances on standby as we talk.
The numbers are still flocking in. Most of these ones are waiting to enter. We triage from here and they come here where they are collected and treated and given medication.
Uganda Red Cross Society also set up a tracing service and family unifications for those with missing persons.
We coordinate the process of tracing them and reuniting them. This morning we have so far united one person, but we have been reuniting others. When you came, you just found us concluding that reunification.
By press time, pilgrims were still arriving at Namugongo Matters Shrine ahead of Matters Day celebrations. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
And indeed, it's a behavior of activity at Namugongo as we grow closer to the D-Day, and that is on Friday when we celebrate the Uganda Matters. Meanwhile, Greater Kigezi Diocese has added over 3.5 acres of car parking space to the Church of Uganda at Uganda Matters Shrine. The car park, codenamed Revival Car Park, will help pilgrims to safely park their cars during and after the Matters Day celebrations. Now, during the commissioning, the chairpersons organizing committee of the project, former Prime Ministers Ruhakana Rugunda and Amama Mbabazi, urged the Church of Uganda to utilize the car park to make money for the church. We have more in this report.
It can be used. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
This year's commemoration of the Uganda Matters Day has come with good news for the Matters, as the challenge of parking space for vehicles becomes a story of the past. The 3.5 acres of parking space was constructed by the Greater Kigezi Diocese from excess collection of funds in 2018 Matters Day celebrations at Namugongo Anglican Shrine. The former Prime Minister, Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda, was the chairperson of the organizing committee and he headed the project, urged the church to develop the parking, among other sources for revenue, to generate funds for Anglican church development.
On the details of development of this place to ensure that the church and ourselves are in harmony, and the number of plans definitely completing the fence. We think the fence should help secure this area, or else land grabbers that Bishop Rode was talking about will come and put whatever they may put. So securing this place is a primary responsibility for the church and for ourselves.
Dr. Rugunda's co-chair, who is also a former Prime Minister, Amama Mbabazi, says they chose to construct a parking space following an incident on one of the Matters days when people driving to the shrine for the prayers were subjected to stop vehicles at Nambole Stadium and trekked over 10 kilometers before accessing Namugongo.
We had hired space across there because we found that one of the problems we had was car park. In fact, people were required to hire their, rather to park their vehicles in Nambole Stadium. You can imagine, park in Nambole Stadium and maybe walk all the way to Namugongo. So this idea of having a car park came to mind, and we discussed it, as Bishop Rode said, with the leadership, and we had a happy argument that indeed we do a car park.
The Church of Uganda, led by Archbishop Stephen Kazimpa Mugaru, commended the Greater Kigezi Diocese for the project and says it has added value to the Anglican shrines at Namugongo.
He has created us and is leaving us here for a purpose. For a purpose. He cannot just create you and give you even those big positions like now these are 2 prime ministers right here from Greater Kigezi. And these are ministers and others without a reason. And so I want to appreciate and other good people like Billy Birunji.
Philip Aguta, UBC News in Namugongo.
Now, over 500 foot pilgrims who started trekking from Lira Diocese to Namugongo on the 17th of last month ahead of the main Martyrs' Day celebrations are closing nearer to the 2 shrines, that is the Catholic and Anglican Martyrs' shrines at Namugongo. Now, UBC TV caught up with them this morning in Matuga. Take a watch.
What was months is now only days and hours left to the Martyrs' Day celebrations this Friday. Tuesday morning, I got my backpack and started my journey to Matuga to join hundreds of pilgrims from Lira Diocese who had their night at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Parish Matuga after a fortnight's trekking from Lira to Namugongo. By 6:30 a.m. I had already settled at the parish, where I found them preparing for Mass, in which the many celebrants prayed for their remaining journey and asked them to follow the instructions upon arrival at the shrine. After grabbing some bites for breakfast, the team embarked on their journey to Namugongo amidst road clearance from traffic police and protection by Ugandan police to curb any possible attacks by burglars. The trekking team that comprised over 10-year-old and the elders shared their special prayer requests for this year's celebrations.
I'm
83 years. I'm to pray for my people and my country.
We are now requesting our people to follow the faith, to be firm in Christ, because the God leave us for a purpose.
Moses Okum Okelo, the group's spokesperson, says they are destined to make it to Namugongo this evening, come what may, despite the challenges.
Hey, we are making it to the final destination, that is Namugongo. We've been moving very well, though we had some challenges. There are some other places we can go and find there is no water for bathing, water for drinking, and some other times we lack a combination.
Ivan Joko, reporting for UBC News.
Now to one of our top stories, where His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has hailed the late Tanzanian President Mwalimu Julius Nyerere for his great contribution towards the unity and revolution of Africa. He has been represented by General Kahinda Otafire at Namugongo Catholic Shrine during the beatification mass for the late Tanzanian President Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere.
Every 1st June, the Catholic faith in Uganda celebrates the life and journey of the late Tanzanian President Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. The Mass, always held at Namugongo Catholic Shrine, intended to reflect on the achievements and sacrifice made by the revolutionary leader.
May we join them.
In attendance were the late Nyerere family members. His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of Uganda, has been represented by the Internal Affairs Minister, General Kahinda Otafire.
Mwalimu Nyerere believed that in a human being, he used to call a human being what lay between here and here. That a human being is what was in the head and what came out of the mouth. The rest were supporting biological substance.
According to Mr. Museveni, Nyerere was a man who at all times embraced the rule of law.
He was a unifier. He managed to unify Tanganyika and Zanzibar. Not only unify Tanganyika and Zanzibar, but also unify the people. Under difficult circumstances, Mwalimu Nyerere was able to do this.
He also hailed him for his immense contribution towards the unity and liberation of many African states.
Mwalimu Nyerere was religious, he was charismatic, he was a freedom fighter. Mwalimu Nyerere was a freedom fighter because he believed in the equality, unity of mankind. Nyerere was able to sacrifice the resources of Tanzania for the liberation of Africa. Mwalimu Nyerere could easily have been responsible for the liberation of more than 2/3 of the African continent.
To Uganda, Nyerere will at all times be celebrated, especially by the NRM government.
Angekuwa Nyerere hatungefanya hivyo. Cha msingi jueni kwamba angekuwa Nyerere hatungewasaidia jirani zetu na wenzetu. It was because of Nyerere that we were able to do this. It was because of Nyerere that we are able to bring out a disciplined army and bring peace into Uganda. This disciplined army you see, which some people are beginning to play about with, is a result of the training and ideological development of the TPDF. And the TPDF was Nyerere's idea, effort, because he was the first one to dismantle the colonial army and build a Pan-Africanist army.
The beatification mass was attended by, among others, the Chief Justice of Uganda, Owiny Dollo, and IGG Betty Kamya. The famous Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, who died in October 1999, was a Tanzanian anti-colonial activist and political headmaster who ruled Tanzania between 1964 to 1985. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
29 minutes after 8 in the studios of UBC TV. We'll now take a short break, but we'll be returning with much more. Do stay with us.
Jennifer, Jukila, Rewagamba, I don't have waka. You passed the ice through me about my waka. Now come and see for yourself, see my waka that I got with Momo Nyabo. Jambola be waka, look at you waka, see my waka.
Simply deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
The Oil and Gas Moment, brought to you by Petroleum Authority of Uganda, creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey. In order to be contracted to supply goods and services for oil activities in Uganda, you must register on the National Suppliers Database. Between 2017 and 2021, close to 400 Ugandan entities were awarded various contracts to supply goods and services to the sector.
Tech Club Limited is a geosciences company that has been offering geotechnical and geophysical investigation services to the East African market since its inception in 2002. Our experience working with Ama Energy has been a pleasurable one. The seismic surveys have always been on our radar, and when this opportunity came up, we put together a winning bid and became the first Ugandan company to provide seismic services under an oil and gas contract in Uganda.
Registration on the National Suppliers Database is free. Visit www.pau.go.ug. Creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey.
Even with my grandson, a doctor at my side, I struggled to get the help I needed. But he saw something that day. He began to work day and night. He wouldn't quit, even when people said no. He wouldn't stop fighting. He knew something had to change, and his vision was bigger than anyone could imagine. He made it possible to receive quality medical services anywhere in Uganda by simply using a phone.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Football packages, great entertainment, sports, the local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Go TV, this is where great stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Ugandan shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees.
Select to pay using Bridge Schools, School Pay or Beg Pay.
Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
We can't tolerate sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment is unacceptable in our school.
Because a good school equals a better life.
Raising voices.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. A warm welcome to those of you just joining us. Now moving on, as we draw closer to the 3rd of June Martyrs Day, UBC News is profiling all the martyrs that lost their lives for their refusal to renounce Christianity. In our news tonight, we profile the life and martyrdom of Saints Ponciano, Gondway and Athanasius Basicata.
The life and martyrdom of Saint Andrea Kagwa. Andrew is the patron of teachers, catechists and families. He was a Munyoro by tribe and practiced the Catholic virtue of chastity very well. He married a Muganda woman called Batude Nakazibwe, daughter of Chiza. Kagwa was a chief of high rank, also known as Mugowa, which means the king's band master general. He had enough property to pay the dowry for any number of wives he wanted in addition to Nakazibwe. But because of his faithfulness to God and his wife, he did not. Kagwa had a big and decent house that Nakazibwe endeavored to keep tidy. She scrupulously kept all their property functioning and in good order. On Saturday 14th November 1885, a day before the martyrdom of the Christian leader and Kagwa's greatest friend, Joseph Mukasa Balikudembe, they got a daughter. Kagwa's wife and the baby were baptized on the same day on November 1885 at Nalukolongo. The new name that was given in addition to Nakazibwe was Claire, and the baby was baptized Mary. The acts of fraternal charity and others were practiced in Kagwa's family, and during the time when missionaries were away in Tanzania, his home was turned into a chapel. Andrew Kagwa had very strong faith. Him and his friend Balikudembe were frequenters at the parish, and the missionaries had much confidence in them. But the Arabs, through some mission boys, managed to steal a lot of property from the parish secretly. The missionaries jumped to a conclusion that it was no other than Andrew and Joseph Mukasa. On learning this, they devoted themselves to prayer and put themselves into God's providence. Some of their friends advised them to abandon the religion of the white men. If it was a religion of the white man, we should have abandoned it by now, they replied. But it is the religion of God. The white man just brought this religion of God to us, so we cannot therefore abandon God, they continued. Andrew died a martyr at the age of 30 on Wednesday, May 26, 1886. His hands were cut off, as ordered by the Chancellor, and his body was chopped into pieces at Munyonyo. The life and martyrdom of Saint Matthias Mulumba Kalemba. He is the patron saint of husbands. Matthias was a Musoga from Bunya. He was captured by a Muganda warrior Magato, who treated him as his own child. He went further to give him the name of his clan, the edible rat, also known as Musu. Because he was so faithful and promoted justice, Mulumba was soon promoted to various posts, and his highest post was to be the assistant county chief of Bulemezi in Singo. He lived in a place called Butega and carried out his work at Chiinda, just near where the present cathedral of Chiinda, Mitiana, stands right now. He had several wives, but due to the teaching of Catholicism, he decided to remain with one. He remained with Chikuwambaza, or Chikuwa, as his only one legal wife. He died a slow death in Kampala City, where the old Kampala Catholic Church, St. Matia Mulumba Church, now stands, on the 27th to 30th of May 1886. His limbs were cut off first, strips of flesh cut off from his back, and stayed in that state without any complaint for 3 days, praying for his country and executioners. The pieces of his flesh were thrown on a burning fire prepared in front of him. He was 50 years by the time he was killed.
And that was a profile of Saints Andrea Kagwa and Matthias Mulumba Kalemba, and the one for the Saints Ponciano Gondway and Athanasius Basicata is being worked on. We'll be giving it to you when it is ready. But now, moving on, we go to Chikube District, where Minister for Disaster Hilary Onek has put leaders of Chikube District in the spotlight for inciting rebellion against the government. He alleges that the leaders are ferrying evictees to the office to tarnish the ministry's image. Now, he emphasizes that the current influx of evictees at the RDC's office in Chikube is exaggerated.
Over 2,000 Ugandans are camping and sleeping at the RDC's office in Chikube district, following allegations that they were evicted from their land in 2013 by officials from the Prime Minister's office. These were some of the indigenous people who were living on the land given to government to settle refugees and other people in 1960 by Omukam of Bunyoro, Satito Winyiga Fabusa, for a period of 49 years. The period expired in 2009 and the kingdom has not yet reclaimed the land as stipulated in the leasing letter.
Right from the time of eviction, the kingdom has been engaging government, and indeed government has sent various delegations to come and investigate this matter.
A survey conducted in 1988 and the one conducted in 2013 to show clear boundaries is what has ignited conflict between the people and government.
That survey was not authorized by government. We don't know it. We don't know who did it and for what purpose. So I think going forward, let the country know that Changwali was never surveyed by government until 2013.
That survey was a result as Bafachi's influence, who was not on the team, and what he brought in was not on the terms of reference.
Bafachi, yes, Bafachi will feature in these issues of land because we are struggling to protect government land from thieves.
The evictees camping at the RDC's office are mostly the elderly, pregnant women, children, and those allegedly injured while being evicted from their land.
Omusayi gw'omunyabutsinda gulyalebe Minister Hilary Oneki.
The RDC is also sympathetic with them. That is a fact.
But as a leader, as a representative of the president, how can I see voters coming for justice? Then I be the one to chase them away. Chasing them away with tear gas, just as the Honourable Minister directed me on phone, is not the solution.
The RDC Kikube is one of their collaborator of these land grabbers, transporting them there so that they are now camped as if they were really genuine people who have been chased away from their land.
Some of these guys are 70 years old, 80 years old. They even saw you their G taxes. They used to pay so many years ago, even before the coming of the NRM government. And they are paying from that very land where they were evicted from.
Minister for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees Hilary Onek says these are staged stories.
The people seen clamoring for land are heavily sponsored to come and lodge at the office of the RDC, forge stories of eviction, suffering, hunger, etc.
I saw the Honourable Minister saying these people are fed well. These people go hungry. These people go hungry for 3-4 days. These people are the pregnant women who came when they are pregnant are delivering from my compound premises.
Onek further says the genuine people were relocated on orders of the president. According to the minister, the land grabbers include Festus Akunobere, Aston Muhwezi, Fred Mbambali, who are well connected, but documents indicate that these people are not part of the contested land.
The truth is, it appears some technical staff from the OPM are misleading the minister, giving him wrong information that can benefit their own interests.
In 2019 April, 6.2 billion was approved by cabinet to resettle people from the land government had ceded off, but it did not happen due to conflicts over the land. Ivan Kahua, UBC News.
Now, in order to conserve flora and fauna, Uganda Wildlife Authority has created awareness of the ecosystem benefits to the country. This was highlighted at the launch of OWA's Silver Jubilee celebrations held at their headquarters here in Kampala.
As Uganda Wildlife Authority marks 25 years of existence, the authority, in conjunction with the Ministry of Tourism, has addressed its achievements in line with wildlife conservation.
Uganda Wildlife Authority established the intelligence, investigations and prosecution units to address the increasing and highly sophisticated wildlife crime. The last 25 years have seen a lot of transformation in the institution, leading to effective protection and conservation of wildlife in Uganda. Government is proud that Uganda Wildlife Authority today possesses strong governance structures.
According to Tom Butime, government's interventions have not only aided curbing wildlife crimes, but also boosted the tourism sector, from which a bigger percentage of the country's GDP is reaped.
Contribution to the economic progress of the country and the concession revenue in parks has also considerably increased from Uganda shillings 345 million in 2006 to 4.2 billion in 2019 before COVID-19.
In order to mitigate and reduce human-wildlife conflicts, Uganda Wildlife Authority has explained its implementation and management interventions in communities adjacent to protected wildlife habitats.
The coming financial year, we are looking at over 100 kilometers of the electric fence around Murchison and around Queen Elizabeth. So we want actually to ensure that the elephants no more get out of the protected areas to disturb communities.
The Silver Jubilee celebration, slated for 24th June, will reflect on the important economic, social and ecological roles tremendously played by wildlife conservation. Joshua Kagor, UBC News.
Thanks, Kagoro, for that report there. Representatives from the East African Community Partner States, Armed Forces and Civilian Component are currently in Jinja for a field training exercise. The exercise is meant to bridge the gap between member states on sharing information and military technologies, among others.
Training exercise aims at ensuring the collective participation of all East African Community Partner States armed forces when tackling any future threats to peace and stability in the region.
Under counterterrorism, following the adoption of the East African Community Counterterrorism Strategy in April 2014, the partner states established the East African Community Regional Defense Counterterrorism Center that is based in Nairobi.
Brigadier General Richard Kademire, Defense Liaison Officer, said the exercise is held under the spirit of the East African Community Protocol on Cooperation in Defense Affairs.
The states are, however, now at the stage of establishing an East African Counterterrorism Center, which will be manned and operated jointly by all key stakeholders.
The field training pillar includes military training, joint operations, technical cooperation, visits and exchange of information. General Manager Uganda Air Cargo Corporation, Lieutenant General James Nakibas Lakala, commended the importance of the joint military exercise as useful for the spirit of the East African community.
These things. The reason for these joint exercises of the East African community is really to build those bridges that were long broken. We are common people who have common cultures, common language. If I went across, who is from South Sudan here? You see? I have brothers across. I go there, I speak the language without interpretation.
The East African Community is a regional intergovernment organization comprising of Uganda, Burundi, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, South Sudan, and Democratic Republic of Congo. Haruna Mtesasira, UBC.
Katikiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Maiga, has urged board members of Buganda Kingdom-based companies to defend the image of the kingdom in their operations. The Katikiro was launching the new board of the kingdom's company, Majestic Brands, at Bulangi, Mengo.
The image of the kingdom is as important as other key things we normally talk about. You can even sell land if you want. If the image of the kingdom is dented, we are in trouble. If the image of the kingdom is appreciated, then we can only expect good returns from every direction. So I urge the new board to promote this image even beyond where people see it, to make the outside world realize the potential that comes with, making use of this image.
Our commitment as the new board in this role is to ensure that the company is innovative, the company continues to grow, and continues to manage its internal and external stakeholders in a meaningful way, in a mutually beneficial way. At the end of the day, we expect that the company and by extension, the kingdom will achieve its desired objectives.
Now to matters pertaining to education, and the Director, Basic and Secondary Education at the Ministry of Education and Sports, Alhaji Ismail Mulindwa, has applauded the literacy and adult basic education model in the promotion of early childhood development in the country. This is during the committee conference discussing how they can help to widen access of the early child development in Uganda.
Government of Uganda through Ministry of Education and Sports is working hand in hand with non-governmental organizations to support literacy and adult-based education to create a good foundation for children between 3 to 6 years.
As a ministry, of course, our role is clear, is to oversee, regulate, and coordinate the various programs of ECD. That's basically the role here, and also to monitor the ECD programs in our schools, ECD institutions.
According to Alhaji Ismail Mulindwa, the Director Basic and Secondary Education from the Ministry of Education and Sports, government is doing a lot towards the early childhood development.
So what we are doing as of now is preparing ground to see how in the future government can take this ECD component over. But I wouldn't say we are taking it now.
This education targets children of 3 to 6 years on a home-based level in 4 districts from northern Uganda.
Experts from the community to talk about a subject matter, how to raise a child, how to nurture a child. Maybe if it's things to do with the health, bringing in village health teams to come and talk about immunization, talk about feeding. So the parents, both men and women, fathers and mothers, are able to listen in and take on some information.
She also affirms that this education is based on local languages approved by the National Curriculum of Education by the Ministry of Education and Sports.
And where we are now, we've been there I think about 5 years now, Joyce, remind me, our impact is being felt. That's why Professor Edu can talk confidently that yes, I've seen Labe.
Basing on the high rates of nursery fees, parents are called upon to adapt and train their children under early childhood development before they can start their primary.
We have been working closely with LABE right from the development of their materials up to the implementation level.
In terms of physical development, because they run all over the whole community.
In terms of physical development, because they run
To Kisoro district now, where more refugees continue to flock the country through Bunagana border to Nakawindi Transit Center. Kisoro District Commissioner Haji Shafiq Sekande says the number has accumulated to over 20,000 asylum seekers, as we hear in this story.
Instability in the Democratic Republic of Congo has attracted more refugees in the country, with a fear of scarcity of resources due to an increased population. However, the ceasefire in Democratic Republic of Congo has enabled cargo buses to storm Goma. Many of the refugees are now also seeking homage for their animals. As Nkuranga Ngonga explains.
Yeah, I know the owner of those animals approached me to give him one of the paddocks of my farm. Because the way I saw him suffering really with his animals, I accepted. And they gave him a paddock of about like 1 acre. So that's where they are staying. Of course, you know, I've just given him 1 week to try and see whether I can get any other alternative. But if he fails, of course I will not send him. I will still keep him until probably their problem is solved.
Ngoga asked his fellow Bafumbira to help the asylum seekers.
Of course, I would approach some of the Bafumbira around. If they have land, that's to accommodate them. Since they are suffering, you never know. Their things are not settled, they go back to their place, live together with me.
The impact of the political instability in the Democratic Republic of Congo has led to the flop of market for cattle because most of the customers from Kabale, Rwanda and Gisoro cannot find access. Traders asked the government to help them and discuss with banks on loan payment.
Now let's go back to that story where we profile some of the martyrs that lost their lives for the refusal to renounce Christianity. And tonight we're looking at Saints Ponciano, Gondway and Athanasius Basicata. Take a watch.
The life and martyrdom of Saint Ponciano, Gondway. Ponciano is the patron of the soldiers, policemen and militia. Gondway was a Muganda by tribe. His father was called Birenge, while the mother was Mukomulwanyi, a name which can literally mean the wife of a warrior. Gondway was born at Bulimo in Chagwe County and was a great friend of Stanislas Mugwanya, who lived in Bukerere village. They went together to the king's palace. He served as a page of Mutesa I. Later, during the King Mwanga's reign, Gondway was enrolled into militia. He was good at playing musical instruments at parade. Thus, he was made an assistant band's master general. Gondway became a Catholic and was baptized on Tuesday, November 17, 1885, by Father Pierre Girand. Ponciano was an active and zealous Catholic who tried to school himself in Christian virtues. Shortly before the Christian persecution, King Mwanga ordered a cattle levy known as Nsomolano. One of Mukajanga's herdsmen stole his master's cow and falsely accused Gondway. When Mukaganja heard of it, he put Ponciano into prison without trial. When the Christian persecution broke out, King Mwanga remembered Ponciano and ordered him to be taken to Namugongo to be burnt to death. They were tied up on a rope with a Muslim prisoner, Abdulaziz Bulwada, who had a different case. On reaching Tabataba, Mukajanga took up his spear and drove into Gondway several times until he died. The first thrust did not kill him, so the old man stabbed again, shouting, "Now it goes in without effort." Like a knife into butter, he continued to pierce the body of the martyr long after his life was extinct, stabbing again and again his spear until he was tired. While this was going on, the other Christians, believing that their turn would follow, went down on their knees, where they stood and recited aloud the Lord's Prayer. Ponciano shed his blood for Christ on Wednesday evening, May 26, 1886. He was an adult man of about 35 years of age. The life and martyrdom of Saint Athanasius Basicata. Athanasius is the patron saint of those in charge of finance, treasury and banks. His father was Kafero Kabalu Sebagala, and the mother was Namukwaya Kadulubale Nalongo. The martyr was born at Chikuma near Mulaje Parish in Bulemezi County. When this young boy was staying with his father at Kamboja in Gomba, he very much wanted to visit his brother-in-law Sembusi. It was in that place that he acquired the new name Basicata that later became his name, but his original name was Chiza. In that same place, he suffered from Kawari, smallpox, a terrible disease of that time that killed many people, but later local herbs for curing it were got. It was Sembuya, who was later baptized Raphael, that came to cure. He started to teach him catechism thereafter. Then Basicata went to the palace of Kabaka Mwanga II to work as a page under the leadership of Charles Lwanga, who initiated him into Catholicism. He was orderly, caring for the king's ceremonial robes and also in charge of the king's treasury. Basicata was baptized on 17th November 1885 at Nalukolongo and given the name Athanasius. He was about 21 years old when he suffered martyrdom on Wednesday, 26th May 1886. On several times, he had challenged the executioner for delaying his martyrdom. While marching from Munyonyo to Mengo, Athanasius once refused to continue with the death march, but having been beaten up terribly, he agreed to continue with the journey. It was during the morning hours when the executioners informed the prisoners that they intended to put one of them to death at a nearby execution site. This was the site where Joseph Mukasa Balikudembe had met his death 6 months earlier. Athanasius volunteered to be killed since he had given them enough trouble all the way from Munyonyo. On the way to Namugongo, Athanasius was put to death on Thursday, 27th May 1886 at foot of Mengo Hill at the back of the present Nachivogo Stadium.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is back on Sunday, 3rd July 2022 at Lubiri Mengo. This year, the run will be physical and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. Come out in large numbers once again to Lubiri Mengo. Run for a cause to fight and end HIV by 2030. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel shops at Tobani Center, New Taxi Park, ShopRite Building, Benchwanka Street, Majestic Brands Office at Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5 hash. Select Payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is brought to you by UNAID, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
Are you a player in the tourism sector with a struggling business following the COVID pandemic? UDB, in partnership with European Union, is providing financial assistance to businesses operating in the tourism sector. You can access subsidized loan with grants, loan with a tenor of up to 5 years, free business advisory services, and free environmental impact assessment. Visit www.udbl.co.ug/call for applications to apply. Deadline for submission is 31st October 2022 at 5 p.m. For more information, please call 0414 355 509.
About my waka, now come and see for yourself. See my waka that I got with Momo Nyabo. Jambola be waka, look at you waka. See my waka that I got with Momo Nyabo.
Show them waka with MTN Momo Nyabo. Simply deposit 20k or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Welcome back. Now, let's go back to Namugongo, where this year's Martyrs' Day prayer at the Catholic Shrine in Namugongo will be animated by Fort Portal Diocese. Now, with just a few hours left to the D-Day, the choir has already arrived at Namugongo and is making final preparations to ensure they light up the day. Take a watch.
In an interval of 10 minutes, there is a group of pilgrims arriving here at Namugongo Catholic Shrines.
Here, praising, chanting and dancing has now become one of the unassigned duty to many pilgrims. The first mass for the general public was at 3 p.m. No sooner had it started than the evening downpour came in. Just like the wedding martyrs stood on their feet and defended their faith and religion, many pilgrims were not bothered about the weather. After the mass, the 300 choir from Fort Portal Diocese had to take up the floor. rhythms. Vocals. The young.
Te ostias et adorate Dominum in atrio sancto eius.
Then the old.
We have prepared over 40 songs, to be exact 42 songs, and these songs are going to have a number of times when they are going to be sung. We shall begin with preludes, and those songs will be sung at Mass and at the end of the Mass.
And how about without reading anywhere?
We are also singing songs from central Uganda, especially Uganda. We are also singing songs from northern Uganda and songs outside of Uganda, because we have pilgrims from Kenya, there is Swahili in there, pilgrims from Rwanda, there is Kinyarwanda in there, and from Congo, Lingala in there.
With the Friday just at the corner, the team now looks so prepared.
With over 40 songs prepared and in more than a dozen of language, the choir seems to be prepared for the Friday. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Namugongo.
The sports news now, and we look at football, where Cranes tactician Molitin Mitchell believes his side can put up a challenge against African giants Algeria. The two sides will face off on Sunday in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier first leg game. Uganda is currently camped in Tunisia with numerous trial games and training. Uganda is in the same group with Tanzania, Niger and Algeria. Take a watch.
So those are the casualties of yesterday's game. I was happy the way boys have applied themselves on the field. Especially, I was happy with the fact that our transformation from moment of ball losing up to reaching the opponent box.
Us qualifying for AFCON, ultimately that's the target. I don't think any players come here to just be passengers and not compete. And for me personally, I want to play in another African Cup of Nations, so I think the squad will be ready and we'll be trying our hardest to make that happen. I'll just say with the game yesterday, it was just the manager trying to get across the information that he wants from us on Saturday's game. So it was nice to have a friendly match with all the boys together as a squad, so we're all prepared to go into Saturday's game in good condition. I think so. I feel like
And that does it for tonight. Thank you so much for having kept us company. Elizabeth Nakakoni has been on sign language, and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, wishing you a blessed night. But remember that up next it is Super Soul Sisters, and at 10 it will be followed by that other very important program that is behind the headlines. Good night and see you tomorrow.
Super Soul Sisters, and I must say I'm very honored every week to meet these amazing women where they get to share with us and help us walk through their life journey and story. And of course, my name is Rowena Kajumba. With me is Jackie Batamuliza, and she is a resident research associate at
Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies.
Yes, strategic studies. Now, that word is very key, yeah?
Yes, it is.
And she is, of course, focusing, or her main focus is in international politics.
Yeah.
Now, many may say, why international politics? But hey, politics anywhere is the same. Yeah. However, what I would ask her is, why choose to get into research for politics? But we'll get into that later. Thank you for making time, Jackie.
You're welcome. The pleasure is mine.
Yes. And you are our Super Soul Sister. If anyone wants to understand and know you, Jackie Batamuliza, when we go back, let's understand you. Before the researcher, before the ambitious woman you've become, who is Jackie Batamuliza?
Who is Jackie Batamuliza? I think I'm a lot of things. And those a lot of things partly, I think, drove me and actually built the curiosity that pushed me into studying politics.
Yes.
It's complicated with Jackie Batamuliza. Jackie Batamuliza is a woman. To start with, maybe that's very obvious. I am born to a late gentleman. I don't know if that's even correct English. His name was Anthony Shochenga, and